Hello and welcome back to my channel, everyone. Well, I really hope you are doing great, having a great time with your friends and family as festivities are just around the corner. Well, today I'm back after a couple of weeks with the remaining portion of from your EVS book, that is the chapter that we had begun before, and it is about the chapter disaster. Okay, so we have seen what is a disaster, what are the impacts of disaster, what are the different kinds of disaster, the natural disasters, what are called the man-made disasters, and while doing the natural disasters we have covered till drought. Today we are going to start with landslides. Okay, the downhill movement of large amounts of soil, mud and rocks and other debris is called landslide. The term is actually not new to you, especially those who live near to the hills, and we often hear the term that due to the landslide the roads are blocked, and during winters there is a chances of having landslide in the hilly areas, so the movement of the tourists are also restricted. So the term is not much unknown to you. Now, the common after effect of landslide is flooding. When it rains, the debris flow down into the river and fills its belly. It's very natural when the river belly will get filled up. Obviously, it will overflow the two banks. Okay, trees get uprooted and communication line becomes cut. Lines become cut off. Landslides are caused when soil along hill slopes become loose and unstable, and this condition occurs due to earthquake or due to cutting of vegetation on high places. So when the natural balance of the earth will be disrupted, and when there will be particularly any kind of vibrations, specifically earthquake, then the landslide activities are much common. Now then we are coming to flood. It is nothing but filling and overflowing a large area, dry area of land with great quantity of water for many days. Okay, flood is a cumulative and resultant condition which occurs due to the accumulation of huge volumes of water overflowing the river banks during rain. Floods become great natural disaster when they cause heavy losses of lives and properties. These are not new to human civilization in the world. Yes, flood is not at all a new phenomena to us. We all know that during the monsoon season, if it rains more than the natural amount, of course the low-lying areas will be covered with water, and subsequently as a cumulative action flood condition may occur. Now, what are the impacts of flood? It damages, of course, life and property across the world, and as we have some examples to cite, like the of the rivers which are extremely flood prone. There are several rivers across the world, like Mississippi and Missouri in USA, Yangtze and Yellow rivers in China, Ob in the USSR, the Danube Romania, Red River in Vietnam, Irrawaddy in Myanmar, the Indus in Pakistan, the Niger in Nigeria, Po in Italy, Euphrates, Tigris, etc. So all these actually are very, very prone to flood. So they carry ample amount of water, and any kind of disturbance in the course will cause heavy damage, and subsequently it will turn into flood. Some of the notorious rivers of India are Buri Gandak, Bagmati, Kosi, Son, Punpun, Meghna, Brahmaputra, Damodar. So all these are also called the Damodar is called the sorrow of Bengal. Like this, these rivers are very prone to flood. Now, what are the flood control strategies that we could take in for the long years? Protection of human habitation and crop lands by constructing dikes, embankments, flood wall, etc. Reforestation, afforestation in catchment areas, which will hold the roots, the roots of the trees will hold the soil particles tightly. So reforestation and afforestation is needed. Shortening river routes by strengthening the course of the river, construction of flood control storage reservoir, diversion of flood water towards low-lying areas, building of high platforms as alternative shelter, strengthening flood forecast and warning system, appointment of special rescue squads in flood-prone areas, improvement in agricultural cropping system. So all these can be taken, the measures can be taken up to improve the condition. Man-made disasters. Now we are going into man-made disasters. After we have completed the natural disasters here. Man-made the disasters means when a disaster happens with the interference of human being, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, mostly unintentionally. So first we have the epidemics. The outbreak, the word is no longer new to us after the year 2020, where we have experienced such a great loss to humanity as the coronavirus pandemic. So we all are very well aware of the term now. So the outbreak of contagious disease affecting a large number of people inhabiting a large geographical area is called epidemic. So a few examples are bubonic plague. Here the new virus could have been also added. Influenza, smallpox, typhoid fever, tuberculosis, cholera, we have bacteria, meningitis, we have diphtheria, mumps, etc. Okay, so what are the different principal causes? First is the bad sanitary condition, decomposing dumps of waste, consumption of contaminated food and water, unhygienic storage of food, improper disposal of waste, and dirty living conditions. So these are the very basic conditions where if these happens, then we can call it, then the spread of epidemic increases. Okay, now what is the impact? We all know large scale death and devastation. Like the population of, for an example, the population of Mexico had been reduced up to 90% during the 50 years of domination of Spain. Thus, epidemics cause seriously dangerous impacts on social and economic conditions. Definitely, on social and economic conditions, it has a huge effect. Preventive measures. Epidemic can be prevented by immunization, which has already started in our country. Sanitation and public health measures, personal and community hygiene are very necessary measures for prevention of epidemics. So unless and until a society, unless and until an entire community become cautious about the spread, it cannot be stopped. Second, we have nuclear hazards. It occurred through specific contamination by radioactive substances and raised during the nuclear reactions. There is no cure for the damage caused by this, and only preventive measure can be taken. Careless activities related to handling and transportation of radioactive materials can cause serious damage to the specific person or to the entire community. We also have industrial disasters. We have so many industries around. It can happen that in some cases, due to less careful activities, these kind of disasters happen. Like we have the disasters, the industrial disaster due to the leakage of the methyl isocyanide gas in 1984 from the Union Carbide plant in Bhopal, which is also called the Bhopal gas tragedy. So that is an important example. Impact is killing a large number of people both inside and outside the industrial area. Disasters cause serious damages to building, vegetation and animal population. Beside it, the accidents damage various kind of natural ecosystem, and it acts very hard to identify. Hence, sometimes that they are very hard to manage also in a short period. Okay, and they have permanent impacts on victims. Okay, so impacts continue for generations. Like impacts of Bhopal gas tragedy are still visible in the form of physical and mental deformation and ailments in the people of Bhopal even today. So you can understand how far the impacts can travel. Then we of course have the traffic accidents that unfortunately we experience once in every 2 days. So that is solely because of our carelessness or some misfortune. So these can be, can also be, accidents can happen anytime. Even if you are at home, accidents can happen, not necessarily that you have to be out. So it is advisable that you be very careful so that we can avoid this. Apart from this, we have biological and chemical disasters. Such type of disaster is already known to human civilization. Use of poisonous gas in the Second World War was the first case of use of chemicals and for the destruction of enemies. Biological agents like microorganisms causing deadly disease. It is quite similar as this Wuhan virus that we had. Many are terming this as a biological weapon, though we are not sure yet. But these kind of things, when we try with all these, when we try to modify our surroundings or take revenge, or we try to experiment with these kind of things, then the disaster may happen. General impact of disasters can be classified under 4 headings: environmental impact, economic impact, social impact, political impact. Environmental impact of disaster relate to damage of life and property, damage of various ecosystems, spread of epidemics and natural diseases, failure of crops, collapse of building, damage of human habitats, etc. Varieties of birds and animals die due to chemical disasters and claim large number of human lives. Oceanic accidents cause oil spills that kill vast varieties of marine animals. Okay, fires burn alive thousands of animals and and human beings in civil areas and destroy whole forest ecosystem. So environmental impact, on environment, it has a greater impact, okay, because environment is related to human being, they are related to the animals. So if a forest fire happens, it was equally devastating for Australia as well as for the people of the selvas in South America. So these have a strong environmental impact. Economic impact, of course, great loss of property, great loss of human being resources. Okay, so many people die, maybe who were employed in very good positions. So they are of course human resources. They are of course capital resources. Many capital resources also gets abolished. So of course there is an economic impact. Social impact, large scale migration of people in the neighboring state, the condition of social problems before inhabitants of the state. On the other hand, people have to suffer on the shortage of food and water. If too many people are clustered in one place, then of course there will be a shortage of food and water and the available resources. So that is also a social problem. Okay, lastly we have the political impact. The government is its relief measures are badly criticized, and the opposition parties, just we have the Amphan cyclone hitting parts of Orissa and entire West Bengal, where the state got damaged. You may say it got rampaged by the devastating cyclone. Okay, so whatever measures the government could take, they had taken, but still we did not restrict ourselves to criticize the government, to to point fingers that we did not get. Kolkata was badly affected by this, and too many skyscrapers are there where hundreds of thousands of people they live, so power connection was not there, telephones were not working, and the supply of water, clean drinking water was not there, electricity was not proper in some places for quite a long time. So these are the relatable consequences of a damage, of a disaster. So when these happen, people get a chance to criticize the political party, and of course the opposition have a very good agenda or a topic to do the same. So that was all about the chapter, children. Disaster is quite a long chapter because you have a lot in the book, you have a lot in the chapter. So what you will do is you will go through the entire chapter. If you have any query at any point of time, just drop a comment and let me know. All right, and of course the chapter will be not very difficult, but you need to read a lot. So if you have liked the video, children, click the like button, share it. If you are still not a subscriber, subscribe and support, and always comment to let me know. All right, so with this note, I will be stopping here. Take care. Goodbye.